we are back. Episode 46 of the CCHA Reporters Corner on Midwest Sports Plus, which, if you are a subscriber to the Bemidji Pioneer or Sioux Falls Live, you also, or Midwest Sports Plus, that is a revolving subscription for all foreign communication properties, which includes Grand Forks, Duluth, Brainerd, Rochester, Wilmer, yada, yada, yada. But this is the CCHA Reporters Corner on Midwest Sports Plus. I'm one half of your co-host, Jared Urbeta with the Bemidji Pioneer. With me is the better half of the co-host, Trent Singer with Sioux Falls Live. Trent, how are we doing today?
We're doing good, man. It is snowing here in Sioux Falls. I know you're under the weather, Jared. You're fighting through this today. We can't ask any more out of you, buddy. We really do appreciate you still fighting. I mean, you still gotta work too, right? I mean, regardless of this fever that you have.
I'm not working today. This is the only thing I was doing today. I'm going back to bed when this. I woke up with 103 fever this morning. That's crazy.
You actually don't sound too bad, too, like for a guy who is...
I've been sucking on cough drops for the past 2 hours. I drank an emergency. I took a lot of medicine. I basically drugged myself up to the point where we could do this show, and then I'm going to go back to bed.
Well, we'll let you get back to bed, Jared. We had a great interview, though. We chatted with Breck McKinley, who is a part of a Bowling Green team that is really intriguing here in the second half of the season. The Falcons are 12-6-4. They're in fourth place in what is turning out to be a really tight race in the CCHA. And they're one of four teams in this conference with a winning record. They're 5-1-1 over their last 7 games. And so we got Breck's opinion and his take on what's been the surge for this team here in the second half. What's been the catalyst to their success here as they've gotten things going. You know, their story is interesting. They had 14 new players in the offseason, 10 CHL transfers, so many moving parts, right, that had to get this team going. And we had a feeling that it was going to take a little time for this team to gel, and I think we're starting to really see the identity of this Bowling Green team here in the second half of the season. We got the chance to talk with Breck, though, who's a part of that blue line, and they're an interesting blue line. Their captain is on that blue line, and Dalton Norris. They've got a guy who started his season here in the second half, who's partnered with Breck McKinley on the top pair, a guy named Ty Eigner. So we got Breck's opinion on all sorts of guys on this team. That's a little later on in this episode, but of course, it wouldn't be a CCHA Reporters Corner if we didn't talk about his hockey career. And it all started in St. Albert, Alberta, which is just, a suburb of Edmonton. And we talked a little bit about growing up in the hockey culture there and kind of how it all got started. And then, fast forward a little bit through, he played AAA hockey in St. Albert, was a top defenseman in the AMHL his U18 season there. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked about his time playing junior hockey in Spruce Grove, which is just outside Edmonton. He got to play junior hockey close to home in the AJHL. And of course the hurdles that he had to experience and trying to navigate his hockey career through the pandemic. Certainly not the only person that we've talked to about that on this show. It's pretty much every player that we've interviewed has had to experience that. And so we got his take on that and how he made his way to Bowling Green. He was recruited by Ty Eigner. Ultimately, after his freshman season there at Bowling Green, Ty was replaced by Denny Williams, who's taken over this program and really re-injected some life and some juice into it. They were a winning team last year. They had 18 wins, made it all the way to the semifinals of the Mason Cup playoffs. And it from Breck's standpoint, it did seem like it kind of, motivated this team going into this season. And they're certainly off to another great start. Breck is at the center of that too. He's got 18 points. He's second on the team in points. He's got 16 assists. And so we got his take on what's been the big, spark for him in terms of making that jump in production at the college level. And, of course we closed it out. We had to ask about Scoots. So we got some good insight into what he brings to this team too. The equipment manager there at Bowling Green, who's been there for over about 30 years now. And then we closed it out with some one-timers. So another great chat. If you're Bowling Green fans, I think you're going to enjoy this episode for sure. We've just continued, Jared. I think this has been a solid season of guys in this conference and that we've gotten a chance to talk to from all over the conference. And I expect that we're going to get some more here before the season's over. There's still so many great stories to tell in this league, and Breck's just another one of those.
I also want to shout out a former Reporters Corner guest, and he's actually the only two-time Reporters Corner guest, and that's Alex Tracy. He was nominated for the Hockey Humanitarian Award, and like, shocker to nobody, he's the
Man,
nicest kid
nobody.
ever. Like, it's annoying how nice he is at this point, but it's such a huge honor for that. Like, we had it up here in Bemidji the past couple years when Kyle Loft was a nominee,
Yep.
and then Kendra Fortin last year was a top 3 finalist, or maybe top 4. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4, but it's a really interesting award where it's men's and women's hockey, and it's D1 and D3, and I guess technically D2. So it's not, there's no restraint on division or whatever, and it's a pretty stringent process to get to this point. I got a little bit of an inside look at that the past couple of years here in Bemidji and what it takes. It goes more than just, okay, he volunteers for, whatever, does this and around his community. It is a big, big, big deal for student athletes to get this recognition. And for, like I said, shocks absolutely nobody that Alex Tracy is one of those kids. I mean, he's, like I said, painfully nice. So good for him. And then I'd also like to shout out Chase Cheslock, another friend of the show.
What a quote last weekend.
For giving me the funniest quote I've ever heard in my entire life on this job. Comparing games between St. Thomas and Bemidji State to Revolutionary War battles, saying, yeah, we just get on the front lines and shoot each other. Like, one of one. So, but I think we got another good one here. I've been wanting to get Breck McKinley on for a while. I think he's the most underrated player in the CCHA, and comes from a really cool hockey background. So let's kick it over to our interview with Breck McKinley. All right, it's time for another Reporters Corner interview. And we have Breck McKinley on the show today, a defenseman from Bowling Green, one of the hotter teams not only in the CCHA, but in the country right now. Thanks for joining us, Breck. We'll start here. Just, you're currently in 4th place in a tight race in the CCHA. But the Falcons are 12-6-4 this season, and Bowling Green is one of the hotter teams in conference play. 5-1-1 over your last 7 games. What's been working for the Falcons as of late?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff's been going good for us. We've had a couple games here that we let slip away, but I think we've been playing heavy hockey. We stick to our identity, and we know it works. So, like, when we're rolling 4 lines, we got 7 D-men going. We're kind of relentless that way, and we kind of just roll over teams in a sense that we outwork them, outcompete them, and we find success in that.
Well, we got to ask about this team. 14 new players in the offseason. I mean, we heard about this recruiting class coming in, 10 CHL transfers. I mean, with all these moving parts, how have you seen this team sort of gel? And is there a feeling internally that you guys are all starting to create some sort of identity?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of uncertainty going in the year, like you said, with so many new players and not knowing how they'd fit in a different style of hockey. I think it took us a little bit at the start, but I think everyone's really grown to, kind of play that. It's a different type of game playing college hockey, especially in the CCHA. So a lot of guys are kind of sticking to what our identity is and playing that hard game. And it helps a lot, too, because we live so close together. We're around each other every day, like building that chemistry. And just the locker room has been so good for us this year, and it's really helped.
I want to ask you, too, because there were a handful of teams in the CCHA that brought in a lot of CHL kids, and Bemidji was one of them, too. And I remember talking to some of the returners from last year in the preseason part of it, and they were like, these practices are as intense as you can find them. They are fast, they are high-paced, and it was just that new energy and a lot of these new guys coming in that kind of made things a little bit faster. Did you guys feel some of that same thing in that preseason part at BG?
Oh, yeah, for sure. What I noticed is just the competition in practice. Like, there's so many good players out there on the ice, so many skilled players. So nothing's going to be free this year. Like, when it came to ice time wise, when it came to roles, like, you had to compete because the next guy, we have the next guy up. Like, there's so many good players in practice, and just the overall skill, the speed, the physicality it was great in preseason.
Well, let's go back and let's talk a little bit about your hockey journey. I can hear some hockey playing behind you a little bit, I think. You're from St. Albert, Alberta. It's a city located on the Sturgeon River, just northwest of Edmonton. I looked it up on Wikipedia. You know, I have to any time these cities come up, I got to figure out where they're at.
Yeah.
Obviously, though, hockey is entrenched in the culture there. What can you tell us about your earliest hockey memories and when you decided you really wanted to pursue a career in hockey?
Yeah, growing up, I was in a hockey family. Everyone played, so it was kind of like all we did. And especially in the town I'm from, it's the biggest thing. Like, everyone wants to be a hockey player. You watch the midget team in the area, and you just want to be like them. And yeah, I had a cousin that played college hockey, so I kind of watched as a kid too. So that gave me some early insight into that and wanting to. I just saw the rinks and how loud they'd get and the atmospheres at different college rinks. So that kind of swayed me away from maybe going major junior. And I know now it's different, but back then when you had to decide. So yeah, I played all throughout in St. Albert, in my U15, U18s. And then I had the opportunity to play junior A at home. I got to live at home, which was super nice. So I played in Spruce Grove, which is only a 20-minute drive from my house. So playing in my hometown, I got to see my family for those 3 years in juniors, which was really helpful now moving so far away from them. But yeah, I was super grateful for that. And then kind of just talked to Ty Eigner, who first recruited me. I was able to fly down here, kind of fell in love with the campus, the people here, and yeah, I just thought it was a great spot for me.
Being so close to Edmonton, are you an Oilers fan?
I am an Oilers fan, and the summers they consist of a lot of Oilers watching at the playoffs and stuff like that.
I'm so sorry. It's been a tough couple of years.
It's been hard for us, but
tough.
At least we're watching hockey late in the summer.
Yeah, that's fair. Kind of going back to your youth career, though. I mean, you played AAA hockey in St. Albert from 2016 to 2020, and you had a year and a half stint with the Raiders U18 team. You know, you racked up 37 points in 58 games at that level. And then you were named the AMHL Top Defenseman Award in 2019-2020. What can you tell us about those formative years, just in developing you to kind of make that next jump when it was time to do so?
Yeah, so what was kind of cool about my U18 years was actually my first year U18s. I was called up halfway through the year to finish the year with the U18s, which I think was huge for me. As a 15-year-old playing against those 18-year-olds, I think it really helped me kind of adjust to a faster, more physical style of hockey. So moving into that final year of U18s, I had a lot more confidence. And so I just I thought I really made a step there in my development. A lot of confidence, and I was able to be successful that year. After that year, I ended up getting listed by the Thunderbirds in Seattle. So I went to their camps, and then I kind of just ultimately thought I'd play junior hockey and pursue college hockey.
Yeah, and you're not different from a lot of guys that we talk to in that you're playing your hockey in a very interesting time when the pandemic hits in 2019-20 season, right as you're getting ready for your junior hockey career in the AJHL. Your first full season in the AJHL, obviously, like you said, was with the Spruce Grove Knights. That was the 2020-21 season, but you only got to play in 15 games in a season that was, like I said, slowed, stymied because of the pandemic. What do you remember about the challenges and adversity that you kind of ran into during those early years with Spruce Grove?
Yeah, just so much uncertainty with that because we came into the years thinking we were playing, everything was set, and then we'd get shut down for another week. We'd just be practicing, you're not playing games. And then I ended up actually getting hurt that year too, so then I missed some more games, so I didn't end up playing that much at all. But I think there was some good development with just practicing a lot, and I think you just had to kind of take advantage of it because, you're not playing, you got an opportunity to keep building your strength, keep building your skills, and yeah, it definitely wasn't easy though.
I want to ask you too, like, did the COVID stuff maybe give pause as to like how much or how many opportunities you'd have to play college with, all those kids getting fifth years and there being fewer spots? Like, was that a worry for you?
100%. Like, I think it pushed a lot of guys back in their college timelines for sure. Because there wasn't a lot of people leaving those seniors. So It definitely, and then also another thing, recruiting standpoint, I was trying to do visits that year, and I wasn't able to because you couldn't fly and stuff. So that was hard. And then, yeah, so a lot of that fifth year stuff, I think, pushed everyone back a bit.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, I mean, it seemed like that kind of period, like you said, it pushed you in a lot of ways and reinvigorated your game. And in your final 2 seasons of junior hockey, I mean, you took a massive jump. And in 138 games, you had 110 points. You finished runner-up back-to-back seasons. Just fell up a little bit short, a little behind that Brooks Bandit team that was also loaded.
Yeah.
What do you feel like? Yeah, sorry. What do you feel like led to that big jump in production for you, though, just personally in your individual game?
Yeah, just putting a lot of work in the summers, working on the strength aspect, being a little bit of a smaller defenseman. And then I think for me, it's always been be reliable on the back end and then just being able to add offensively as much as I can. So working on skill sets like jumping into the play, becoming that fourth forward on the rush. I think that's where I've really become successful and I'm able to add offense to a team.
Yeah, and I mean that team was also loaded with other CCHA guys. I
Yeah.
mean, Brett Foe was one of them.
Yeah.
Caden Galt, Luigi Benincasa. Just talk about the versatility of that team, and how many of those kids,
Yeah.
continued to play high level hockey afterwards.
Yeah, it was pretty special playing with that line of Galt, Foe, and Benincasa. They were pretty dynamic, so you kind of just gave them the puck and they'd make a bunch of plays. So I'm so happy to be able to play with Foe and then being able to play against Luigi and Galt. So everyone's doing well. And yeah, we had a lot of guys move on to college. We had a great coach there, Bram Stevens. He really pushed us in ways and held us to a higher standard. So it was really helpful that year having such a good coach, able to advance all those guys.
I didn't realize you were on the same line. It was like an all CCHA line you had going there. But right at the start of that breakout junior season, in 2021-22, you made your commitment to play college hockey at Bowling Green. And you mentioned Ty. I'm curious to know, what can you tell us about the recruiting process and just ultimately why you did feel like that the Falcons program was right for you?
Yeah, so mine was a little different. I had to wait, I think, about a year and a bit to able to fly down to BG because I was talking to them for a while, talking to a few other teams. And eventually, then that last year, I was able to fly down, I think, sometime in November, early in the year. And I just met a lot of the guys here. I knew my one teammate, Foe, was already coming here, so I had that familiarity. There was another Spruce Grove Saints that's fighting on the team, so I was pretty familiar with the program. I like the coaching staff a lot. I thought they were really good people. Then the campus, it's a really cool little small town, and I really thought it'd fit my style and give me an opportunity to play. So that's kind of why I decided to come here.
In that freshman season too, I mean, you played a ton. You had 31 games. You had 6 points. But I love asking this question every. Did you have like a welcome to college hockey moment where you realized like this is a little bit bigger, faster? Maybe you got lit up. Maybe you got burned on a play. Like, do you have one that sticks out?
Yeah, my freshman year was a little different. We had some of our seniors were suspended for the first bit of the year, so I definitely was put into a role that maybe I don't know if I wasn't ready for, as I didn't have really experienced that college hockey yet. So we had a first weekend against Western Michigan, and I think I got burnt a couple times, and it wasn't my best game, but yeah, that was a big jump playing against those guys, being 19 at the time and not really grown into college hockey yet.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, BG, you mentioned they finished that 2023-24 season 13-22-1, and it prompted a change at head coach for whatever reason. They decided to go in another direction. They bring Denny Williams on board. He replaces Ty Eigner, and it's certainly noteworthy from the aspect that he was able to retain that entire team without losing anyone to the portal during that 30-day window. And I know retaining Curtis Carr on staff probably played a good part in that, but we're curious to know, just from your perspective, what sold you and your teammates on Coach Williams so quickly in that first season at the helm?
Yeah, I mean, Willie came in right away and he established how he wants this program to look and how he wants it to take big steps moving forward. And that group we had my sophomore season or my freshman season, we were so close. and we had a lot of guys coming back that next year. So we all wanted to stay. No one really wanted to leave. We knew how close we were and how good we could be if everyone came back. So yeah, ultimately Willie called us in the summer. We had a lot of chats and really liked what he was saying and wanted to see in our future. Like, he wants the best out of this program. He wants it to grow, and it just kind of aligned with all my teammates that year. So we were really happy to have everyone stay.
And I mean, great first year for him too. I mean, you guys got to Mason Cup semifinals, and it was a very big turnaround from your first year there. And
Yeah.
how much did that run to that second round last year? Obviously, you didn't end up where you wanted to, but how much did it just instill that confidence in this group this season?
Yeah, 100%. Like, moving forward, we got a lot of guys who played in the playoffs in those type of games, must-win games. So I think it's going to really help us in the long run. And yeah, I think that gave just the fans too, like, that we were back in the semifinals. Kind of the Falcons are back, in a top spot in the CCHA, and yeah, we really are, taking that step forward.
Well, you're now 22 games into your junior season. You've already amassed more points this season than you had in your first 2 years combined. You've got 18 points. That includes 16 assists. So I guess technically this is a two-parter. I mean, what do you feel like has allowed you personally to take a step in your production this season, and how much has just having this new talent played its part in that as well? Because 16 assists, you don't get them without somebody scoring, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Like, to your first question, I think I've earned the trust of Curtis and Willie, so I'm definitely getting put in a lot more situations this year, and we got a lot of great players. So just playing with so many great players, like, you got so many guys up front, top to bottom, that they can score. So just kind of trying to facilitate that, and yeah, it's been so helpful with how many, especially these new players that came in, just how skilled they are, and we can just make plays this year, and yeah, it's been really working. So been really happy that way.
It's kind of been funny watching you progress through this season, because I mean, it was obviously the start was what it was, and it was pretty standard, and then out of nowhere it was like, all right, here's a 3-point game, here's a point streak, and like it's with how much talent is on this team, and even the guys who have kind of been there and done that before, like a Gustav Sternberg, and obviously that's a loaded forward group. But have you surprised yourself in any ways of how much you've been able to produce offensively in your junior season?
I don't know if surprised the word, but I definitely really happy with it. I think we had a few injuries this year, so I was definitely put in a bigger role than I might have expected, with Goose being hurt, a couple of other defensemen being hurt.
Yeah.
So playing a lot of minutes, and I'm just trying to just play simple, play sound, and try to add offensively as much as I can. And puck's been bouncing my way for sure, so I'm happy that way. But yeah, we got so many players up front that have been scoring, and you talk about a guy like Quinn Emerson, who's having a great year, and his work ethic and how much he cares for this program. It's so good to see him doing well too.
Well, I want to, this is a fascinating team, and we want to ask about several of these teammates of yours and just kind of get your perspective. Let's start with the guy that you've probably known the longest, Brett Foe. I mean, it looks like you've been playing with him for 5 years now, dating all the way back to your time in Spruce Grove. What can you just tell us about that relationship and what you've seen from his growth, as a player?
Yeah, it's super cool to have the opportunity to play with a guy for that long. Usually it's just a couple of years and you say your goodbyes. But yeah, Foe, he's a great guy in the locker room. He's always got a lot of energy. Some people say he talks too much. I don't know. That's up for debate. But no, he's a great player. He's got a lot of skill. He's super gifted physically, and yeah, I think he's been great this year for us, and I'm really happy for him to see his growth from juniors to now.
And Quinn Emerson, you mentioned him. He's another guy who continues to impress. I think he came on really strong at the end of last season. He's currently leading this team in points, 24 on 7 goals, 17 assists. I mean, what have you seen from him this season that has allowed him to take another step?
Yeah, I think, again, it's just his work ethic. He's a dog out there. He's a hound. Like, he really just suffocates the play, and he's always around the net. He finds opportunities that way. Yeah, I'm just so happy for him, just to see the work he's put in these last 3 years to now get to the spot where he is. He really wants this program to do good, and I think he's been a great leader for us as well this year.
For sure. I'd be remiss if we didn't ask about a couple of these defensemen too. And we got to start off with our first Bowling Green friend of the pod, Dalton Norris. He was on the show last season. He's wearing the C this year. We talked with him, last season, and you can definitely see those leadership qualities. And can you speak to those leadership qualities and kind of what he's meant as a leader for this team?
Yeah, he's been unbelievable for us this year, just holding the team together and being that voice in the room, kind of when we need something, or maybe not saying something when we know what we need to do. Yeah, he really controls the room well, and I can't speak on his leadership good enough. Like, he's been really, really solid there.
Another guy, one that I'm really fascinated to see here in the second half, Ty Higgins. He joined this team. He's your D partner right now. He's one of those major junior transfers that joined this team, and already here in 6 games in the second half of the season, he's got 6 assists. So he's averaging a point a game here. Yeah. What can you just tell us about how you two complement each other and what stands out about what he brings to the table?
Yeah, he was kind of a hidden weapon for us this year. We had in our back pocket, and we all knew how good he was in practice, and it was unfortunate he couldn't play at the start of the year. But yeah, I mean, he's a dynamic player. He joins the rush. He makes plays. He's also good defensively. I think it's been really good to play with him. We know when to jump, when to stay back. I think we've been playing well together, and I'm looking forward to playing more with him. I think we complement each other well that way. When one guy's up, the other guy's kind of holding it down back there, and we're both making plays and able to find each other.
We got one more guy to ask about, and it's Scooter, Scott Jess. Obviously, he's been doing this for years, since 1995. But
yeah,
just what does he mean in the locker room, and how much do you love to see a good diamond cutter after a sweep?
There's nothing better. That guy, he's one of a kind. He's 101. He's the best.
Was like, I want to ask, when you're a freshman too, like, did somebody give you like a little bit of an explainer about the diamond cutter, or do you just kind of sit there after a game and be like, oh yeah, Scooter's just getting on the milk crate here?
Yeah, it's always hilarious seeing them freshmen, like when we first get it, they're like, what is going on in here right now? But I had the same reaction. I was like, all right, like, sure. But it gets everyone fired up, and Scoot loves it. He's so into it. It's awesome.
We ask every Bowling Green player about Scoots. We have to.
Yeah, he's the man.
We're gonna close. He is, man. He really is. I think it's fascinating to see an equipment manager who's as dedicated he's been, to this program. And, it's just really cool to see. We'll close out with what we call one-timers, or just, you can answer as much or as little as you want, but they're kind of fun ones. They're just your maybe just your opinion of this conference, and also you personally, just kind of what you've taken away from hockey players that you've seen over the years, and over the players who you've watched. We'll start with this one though. Where's the toughest place to play in the CCHA?
Toughest place to play? I'm gonna go maybe Tech. They got a good student section. It gets pretty rowdy in there.
Yep. Okay. We get Tech a lot. That's like that. Honestly, we get Bowling Green a lot.
I think
too.
It should be our rank.
We've heard it plenty times.
Yeah.
How about in all of college hockey? Is there a rink outside of the CCHA that stands out that you've seen as like, wow, this was brutal?
Yeah, Western Mich. I think you guys know that's coming. That rink is insane. I've never seen fans like that. Just ruthless.
Yeah, their student section's nuts too.
How about, for you personally, I mean, is there a pro player that you've always kind of admired, maybe someone you tried to model your game after when you were younger?
Yeah, I was actually a huge Penguin fan when I was a kid. So I always loved Chris Letang. That's a guy I always wanted to play like.
I had a feeling Letang was coming when you said Penguins.
Yeah, I love watching him play, just how good he is on both sides of the puck. And yeah, he's a role model growing up.
For sure. How about this? Who's the most talented hockey player that you've ever played with? It could be any level. It could be pickup hockey in your hometown, junior hockey. Is there a guy who stands out? Most talented guy you've ever played with?
Most talented? I'll probably go Cohen Zimmer. I played with him back in midget. He's an LA draft pick. He had a lot of skill, and I think he's playing for the Reign now. So I think I could see him playing in the NHL one day, and he's got a lot of skills. So go with him.
How about this one? Who's the most underrated player you've ever played with? This might require a little bit of thought. Maybe somebody who kind of just went under the radar, and you always admired their game, and maybe they didn't quite get the shakeout that they quite deserved. You think?
Well, it's a tough one.
This one does trip some people up sometimes.
Yeah, I gotta really think.
It could also just be someone on BG too. That's like maybe not enough people are talking about this kid.
Yeah, I could do. Who should I? There's a lot of good ones out there. Kind of tough one. Maybe I will go with. I'll go with Max Martin on our team. I think he brings a lot to the table, and I think he's a little underrated at times.
Cool.
Yeah.
Last one, and it's a two-parter. But who is the best golfer on the team, and who is the biggest sandbagger on the team?
Noah Morneau is the best, and it's not even close. He's like pretty close to a scratch, I think. And then
that's just got to be like annoying.
Yeah, he's almost too good. It's kind of weird. Like, why aren't you a golfer? And then there's biggest sandbagger, Tyler Hodson. Sandbag our tournament at the start of the year. Called himself like an 8. It was a joke.
That's perfect. Breck, that's all we got for you. Thanks for powering through. Appreciate your time today, and best of luck. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a sprint here to get to the end, but everything's kind of going right for the Falcons right now.
Yeah.
Appreciate
thanks for having
it,
me on here, guys. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Once again, thank you to Breck McKinley for joining the show, and thank you to our producer, Cordell Wright. To watch the show and to see clips and highlights from this episode with Breck McKinley, head on over to Midwest Sports Plus, the home of the CCHA Reporters Corner. For the audio-only version, subscribe to the CCHA Reporters Corner on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow us on Twitter @TrentSinger and @JaredRoberto BP. You can check out our work at BemidjiPioneer.com and SiouxFallsLab.com.